Hi,
there.
Ethan.
Hi.
Hi, there you are.
How
And
are you?
you're wearing the
Hello.
outfit from Aliens that we bought.
Yeah. I figured it's very fitting.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, we bought a salvage uniform that's used in the beginning of Aliens, and Ethan wears
Oh,
it proudly.
okay.
There we go.
There you
Now we
go.
can
Okay.
see.
Is that
Yeah, you
better?
look
That,
good. Yeah,
that's
much
better.
better.
Thanks.
And I guess they're bringing Mike Harney aboard
Is Mike
momentarily.
Mike there?
I
Hi.
guess Adam will
Yep.
bring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're bearded and mustached. Oh my.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh yeah. And I'm becoming a man slowly but surely.
Space
Slowly but surely.
Command. Yeah, Space Command has aged you. So,
That's right. That's
so
right.
how are you
Well,
doing, Ethan?
well, happy anniversary, guys. How are you guys?
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you very
Thanks.
much. It's great to have Elaine. She's
Oh, yes.
the
Oh,
secret sauce. No, 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 no. But so here we are,
we
and getting ready to do a lot more. And people were telling me how much they love you in Doom Patrol. So congratulations.
All right. Yeah. A
Yeah.
little bit different
So,
character than Jack Kimmer, but yeah.
yeah. Because there's something that some actors have called range.
yeah.
So
All right. Oh, good.
yeah,
Good. Good.
yeah, yeah,
Mine's
yeah.
about this big, but I'll take every little inch I got.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, we won't go there. So okay, so
You come from the beginning when we had the talent hunt.
the worldwide talent search, yeah.
Search.
And we're
Do,
going to
Right.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how about I bring in Mike Harney?
Yes,
please,
absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely. So
Mhm.
there you wait,
You're
No,
where?
welcome.
where?
I'll talk to you
There
later.
we go. Hi.
Yay!
Yay. Life is
Yay.
good. Life is good. Good to see both of you. Now
Hello.
See
Hello.
you.
yeah. So now one of the whole ideas with Space Command from the very beginning was that it would tell a generational story. So it'd be the parents and the kids and the grandkids and the great grandkids and the great great grandkids over 180 years. And
There's nothing like family to screw you up.
ha 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 ha.
Right.
Yeah, but essentially I thought it would be great, Ethan, to have Mike play your dad. And so we shot those scenes way back when in the dawn of time with the two of you in the Bugatti that my dad built. And now we
Yeah,
have
Mike was my age when we shot it, I think.
yeah, I think so. I think so. Yes, it's been a while. And but then also I had the idea of doing the prequel, and we did the audio play and then the graphic novel, so that Mike could play a 30-year earlier version of Anson when he meets Anoka Chandimal, who he marries, and thus becomes you. And so but I think that this ripple effect gave us a great opportunity to really show a very interesting relationship with you guys and pay it off in a very interesting way. And Ethan, you not only shot that scene, but you're part of it, but you actually edited it as well. So I think it's a
Right.
beautifully,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a beautiful scene with the two of you and the back and forth. And so I don't know if you guys would like to talk about it or doing the scene, but please just jump in and you know that'd be
Yeah.
great.
Good to see you, Mike. How are you? How are you?
You too, man. You too. And hi, everybody out there, whoever's out there.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
fan.
it was great doing that scene. It was, it was in the middle of the pandemic. We were in the heart of it at that time.
Yeah,
And
still
so
are.
I was up to my eyeballs in alligators at that point.
Hmm.
But it was great drawing on the relationship that you and I have, Ethan, that we've developed over this time that we've been working on this and just trying to make some art out of it,
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
for my dear friends Mark and Elaine.
Mhm.
Great,
Yeah, I feel like it
dig
was.
the I'm sorry, go ahead, Mark.
No, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
I really dig the whole generational thing and how it really shows the chronological progression of
Yeah,
life and how things work out and why certain things happen and how people come to themselves. My speech was basically about coming to myself in a very authentic way.
yeah. Well, you do a beautiful job of it, and it's fun because we also have an earlier part in that episode where we see the 30 years earlier you snagging a comet, this thing that brackets the Neil deGrasse Tyson footage, which is so it's been very fun piecing this together from all sorts of places and all sorts of ways of doing things. But particularly, I loved the fact that your character Mike is really saying something that's probably the hardest thing he's ever had to say to anyone, you
Right.
know, and that's so terrific. And, I really loved it. And you do such a spectacular job of it. And then, Ethan, I loved your reactions. I think that they were very, very subtle and wonderful. And the fact that we have that during the search for Laura and her sister. And so there's that tension under what both of you were saying, because there's the chance that they'll be fine or the chance they won't be fine. And we don't pay that off until after this scene. And I really like that it happens right there in that doubt, of how things are going to go.
Yeah,
So,
just to kind of build on the doubt of it a little bit. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we had a little note here. If you could speak a little louder.
Mike, you mean?
Mike,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Mike, yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe just
How's
Mike.
that?
That's great.
That's
That's great. And it really shows that Barrymore profile, the forward view of it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
it's okay.
One of the things that I think we both find exciting is how people who are damaged can work through damage toward each other,
Yes.
and have the courage to do that.
And it doesn't mean that the father and son are ever going to be at ease with each other. Exactly. There's always going to be that feeling of rubbing up against each other, but they also have had a chance to look inside each other's hearts. Or particularly Mike has opened himself up in a way that's, extremely, extremely difficult. And so that when you guys get together, you're not going to be talking about this conversation. You'll just remember it and know it.
Yeah.
But if you do,
yeah, it never happened. Yeah.
right. And if you do drive up the coast in the Bugatti, it's basically there'll be a lot of silences, It's not going to,
Yeah.
you're not going to go get corn dogs or whatever. But the
But we've also heard from a lot of father-sons where the relationship really improves when the son no longer needs the true father relationship, when they don't need to be taken care of, and can just become people and people.
yeah.
And they don't have those incredible expectations we have of parent figures.
Yeah, but I'm Jack's dad is very much based on my dad, and so there's a lot of that. So I really understand that kind of guy. And but then it's really fun because then we can see how Jack is as a dad, and then we see that despite his best efforts, he still fucks it up. And and then Jack, when he becomes J.G. Hertzler, gets to be a lousy father to Frank, but a very good grandfather to Matt. So
Yeah.
it's just fascinating, all these twists and turns. So I love being able to really take the long view, because we even see how Anson meets Anoka back in the war in Sri Lanka and falls for her. And she saves his life. So it's just this really interesting span.
Yeah, the beginning of it all.
Yeah.
So were there any conversations that really made a big difference between the two of you in terms of the way that you
In terms of prepping for the scene?
I think that just my sense of Ethan, and I always think of you like Gary Cooper, Ethan.
Mm.
You remind me of
Thank
Gary
you, Mark.
Cooper.
Yeah, but alive. And
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And I think it's great that you're able to achieve all of the amazing things that you've achieved in your position, despite being ridden the way you were by me.
Mm. Mm.
In
Yeah.
the imaginative world of this wonderful creation.
Mm. Thanks.
So yeah, I just worked instinct. When you guys called me, it was just really working off of my experience of Ethan.
Yeah.
Experience of both of you. That's how that went.
Well, it's fun in this episode because it's during the pandemic, we have a chance for people really to talk more and have those monologues that normally in a regular way of doing things you wouldn't tend to have. You never have an episode like this, really. But the pandemic has allowed us that great opportunity and that great gift. And we see so many of our actors really knocking it out of the park, and it's really fun. And
Just the building of the backstory, I think that's what makes that fun, because those scenes, it kind of wrenches the heart a little bit. That's why when shooting the scene for this one, it's interesting to kind of be excited to see what Mike's going to bring to the table.
Yeah.
Because it's always great. So it was just really interesting to, I guess, when preparing for it, you just kind of think about it and just kind of what Mike's saying. You just go off of kind of what you feel and dive in. And then when I got to see it put together, it's hard not to tear up. I'm just like, oh man,
it's great. It's great. Yeah, we love it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's fascinating, the casting process, because, you know, and we'll get into this more when we have the little thing with David Raiklen, Ethan, but the fact that, you know, that we had a worldwide talent search and 7,000 inquiries, 1,200 videos for the Bradbury and Jack Cameron roles, and you and Brian won. And you know, and so that's, but when you talk about Gary Cooper, Mike, I very much had in mind a kind of hero you don't see anymore, which is the kind of Gary Cooper, Jimmy Stewart, Henry Fonda kind of actor who has this core of decency and comes from the heartland. And of course, Ethan, you're from Wyoming.
We have to go to the damn heartland.
Yes, yes, and well, you're from Wyoming, and Brian's from Iowa/Indiana, and you know, but it really comes through. What's that core of decency? And I'm very interested in the different kinds of heroes. So, for instance, your character is a hero, but then Anson is a hero too, but a much harder kind of guy. Like when he says, "I only see things in black and white," that's absolutely true. Right. And so then when we get down to Matt Kemmer, you know, Aaron Gaffey, who finally gets to put on the uniform after all these years of dangling that possibility.
He wears it well. He wears it well.
Yeah, but then Elaine had that idea of him being, and by the way, again, I've said this earlier, I think, in the day, but Elaine and I really wrote this together, and some scenes were more me, and some scenes were more her, and we really worked on
each other.
But any scene that has people who really curse a lot, that's Elaine. That's definitely Elaine.
Elaine's a child of the '60s.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Under the bus.
If someone's calling someone an asshole, or or shit for brains or whatever, that's definitely Elaine. And so but this is great. So but Mike, I love the scene, the way you do it, and again with the way Ethan is reacting to it, because again it goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And my family had that tradition of, at Thanksgiving, of pulling out a little notebook and writing in it about what we're grateful for. And so that's a family tradition on my mom's side, actually. And so it's really fun to see, because the thing that's so fun about that monologue is, okay, where is this going? And we don't know until the very end, where it's like, oh man. So that's really great. And you believe every moment of it. And
so Mike, when you were doing this scene, was it scary for you? Emotionally scary?
For me?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, as that character.
Yeah, I had a hard time accessing the life. That's part of the reason why it took me so long, because there was so much going on for me personally at that time.
Yes.
Called me. So I didn't want to compromise the work, and I wanted to keep doing it until I felt like it was ready to, I had enough ammunition to fire.
Great, that's great. Well, you certainly did a great job, and Ethan, I loved the fact it was really interesting to see you do the reactions and have that scene all buttoned down before we put Mike in it. And so your instincts were very, very good in terms of reaction. And I love when Brian says, that you got a message from your dad, and that expression of like, oh fuck, it's like,
here we go.
Yeah, really, really, like, oh, back to the rodeo. But it's like, being dragged under the truck.
I just want to say something, if I can interject.
Sure.
I just want to acknowledge both Mark and Elaine for doing what you're doing. This is an insurmountable amount of work that they're doing. This is, I think it's unprecedented, really. Not only in the science fiction world, but I think in production, pretty much across the board, I would think.
Yeah.
Especially because of the technical parameters within which you have to work. And I'm not saying this to kiss your ass. I'm saying it because I know from being in the game for so long.
Yes.
It takes a lot, and my hat's off to you.
Thank you. Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. I mean, for me, it's such an honor to be able to work with you guys. I mean, it's just a thrill. And but I think that the fact that Elaine and I were working in TV for like 30 years before Space Command gave us the knowledge of so many tricks of the trade, where so when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, I saw it as this huge opportunity because everyone was stuck at home. And I realized that we could shoot in a very, very different way, but still deliver something really interesting. And because I've been walking around for several years with the entire season of the show in my head and beyond, it's like I was very eager because for me, going deeper into these characters was wonderful. It wasn't difficult. It was just,
The one thing
yeah,
that it offered, like in novels, where you could create subtext as
yeah,
text,
sure,
and instead of just saying, well, here's the subtext, you actually be able to give voice to the subtext,
yeah.
and so that was like exciting and freeing. It was really really nice, because normally you have to be a boring novelist to do that.
Yeah, and but also it's neat because we see, your dad talking to you, then we see, what happens with Laura, and then you have to make that tape telling your son about what his mom was like. And then later in the episode, we see him 20 years later saying, well, I just watched the tape again. I watched it every year on my birthday. And I wonder what she would have been, would she have been fighting alongside of us, or would she have had more kids, or we'll never know that. And so it's very fun, that whole, arc of love and grief, that's part of every person's life, if they, unless they're so locked down that they don't care about anyone, which is, not a life. So
Well, that's why I like the title of Ripple Effect too. I think
yes,
that it's a perfect title, because it really is I think each moment throughout Ripple Effect is exactly when that person was affected by the previous thing that was just like
yes,
revealed to us. I think it's kind of interesting, because it just builds that foundation of the family.
yeah. Well,
And
Elaine came up with that title. I was going to call it "Get a Load of This," so
50-50 chance. Yeah. Just flip
yeah,
a coin.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now, Adam, do we have any questions for Ethan and Mike, or any? He's kind of moderating this, so.
I mean, everybody's just so captivated by your conversation.
Yeah, well, that's yeah, that we do that. So now also, Ethan and Mike, you also know about the Showrunners Network and the fact that I'm creating more opportunities for all of us to have fun and adventures. And Mike, of course, you're the lead in Sweet Haven, which is the show I'm creating with Rockney O'Bannon. So I've finished the script. I have just a few more tweaks, and then we're going to do a Zoom table read of it with Barbara Bain and Mira Furlan and Bob Picardo and George Takei and so forth. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And Ethan, definitely, we're going to do a lot more together in Space Command and beyond. So well, it's
I do have a question
Sure.
for Mike.
Great.
It's from Xena is Lucy, who asks, who says, "Great job on Orange is the New Black. Have you ever been as outnumbered with females as you were on that cast? How does that change the working relationships or set?"
I didn't really feel that. That wasn't really on my scope or my radar. It's just I got
Mike,
enough.
can you?
Oh,
Sorry, Mike.
Can you move a little closer to the mic again? Yeah.
I didn't really feel that. That wasn't a consideration of mine. For me, I got the opportunity to work with really wonderful artists. The casting on that show and the writing on that show was so good. I just felt that, privileged to be part of the work every day. I was glad that we addressed marginalized communities. I was glad and very proud, and still am, to be part of a show that was run by women and had the majority of cast members being women, because I know what women have suffered over the years in our industry. So that's the answer to my question.
Cool. That's great.
For both of you, the life of an actor is one of the most difficult, outside of dish digging.
Yeah.
But I was
Shame
wondering,
gang.
Shane gang, yeah. But what brought you both to dedicating yourself to that particular art? Mike, starting with you, what brought you to
acting
and made you stick with it?
Well, I was going to be a priest years ago, and that's what I thought I was going to do. But I kind of happened on acting by accident. I was doing a lot of social research at the time, as my friend David always says. So I was not clean and not sober, and so I just said I want to take I wound up in the wrong university studying sociological theory when I had just done 2 years of hands-on volunteer work for prison reform and civil rights. And then I'm in a classroom studying and I was going out of my mind. I was ready to blow my brains out. So I took an acting class, and I wound up with a guy from the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art who was at Geneseo State University, retired with his wife, and I did 7 shows back to back, and that's how that happened. It happened by accident. I still don't know.
It's a good accident to have, Mike. It's a good accident
Yeah.
to have.
I always think I'm just lucky, you know. A lot of good people out there.
And Ethan, how did you find this?
For me, it never really seemed like a reality. I didn't think, because I was growing up in a small town in Wyoming, so it's, you know, I would just watch movies and TV and all of that. And I just in high school, we had, in my English class, we had to do a book report. And my group of buddies, we said, well, hey, instead of a book report, could we make a short film? So my teacher was willing enough to LB Kummerfeld, my English teacher back in the day, just a quick shout out to her, but she said she actually trusted us hooligans to go out with a random video camera and make a movie. So from doing that, it was funny to see just, it was nothing but fun. We just were laughing, and the film was terrible, and it didn't matter because we were just laughing, having fun. And
Yeah.
it just slowly progressed from there. So just kind of the idea of like having a taste of something that was so enjoyable, I wanted to try to get it. But even through high school, I didn't really, I didn't take any acting or anything like that. Through college, I got a bachelor's degree of kinesiology, so it was never a focus. I took a beginning acting class in college just as like an elective. Moved out to LA, and I was living with my grandmother at the time, and a friend of hers was doing a play, and through that play, I was just a stagehand. So I was like moving a coat rack and a bench around. I didn't even know what that was. And some lady in the crowd there said, "Hey, do you want to be in my play? I need a waiter and a cop for Guys and Dolls." I said, "Yeah, okay, sure." And I went there, joined that play, and that's where I met my wife. So
Wow.
it's
There
kind
you
of crazy.
go.
Yeah. But
Wow.
yeah, and from there, I mean, my wife Athena is an actor as well, so we just decided to make it a reality and just keep pushing forward. And then, just like Mike says, it's just all about just get real lucky. You get lucky and keep pushing forward.
Wow.
And then you meet people like you two, and changes everything. So
yeah, we're
Speaking of changes, that actually ties into this next question I have for Ethan from Donald 3456, who says, Ethan, how has your life changed since winning the starring role on Space Command?
Wow. It's changed a whole bunch. It really, really has, and that's why I'll forever be grateful, guys, for getting me involved in this. Just again, you know, being just a kid in Wyoming, sending in a tape to a random possibility of being a space captain, and they're willing to take a chance on you. It's changes everything. Just not just in. I think from an actor standpoint, it's you get to read good writing and you get to perform excellent words, and that's kind of what every actor kind of dreams about. Is just it's all in the writing. If you can pull it off the page and it's there, that's amazing. And just the experience that this has been. I mean, yeah, you know, we've been at it a long time.
Yes.
Space Command, but I don't.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
We're starting
stuff like this.
We're starting to think of it as the science fiction version of Boyhood, you know. You know?
That's what ripple effect is. Yeah, there we go.
Well, I think it's hilarious that Jacob, who played Bob Picardo's little boy in the pilot, you know, he's now a teenager. He's like almost 17, and so we get to have him as a teenager. And I joke to him that if we take long enough, he'll be able to play the adult version of that character.
Yeah, it's perfect.
You know,
perfect. We're on pace. It's all right. Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it.
Yeah, but it's fun because particularly because it's about families. Familial resemblance is really fun, and so you know, Mike and I were having lunch some years ago, and I thought he could play Ethan's father. They have that similarity of look, and then of course the actor that I cast to play your son, David Snyder, he's a waiter in a restaurant in the Valley, and I said to him, which I say to often, I say, "Are you an actor?" And of course, every waiter in LA is either a writer or an actor or both. And so he was, and again, perfect, because he looks like he could be the kid between you and Sarah Marafino. So really, really great fun. But yeah, I mean, my hope with Space Command, a lot of this career in acting, writing, directing, producing is staying the course, you know, and the work for me, the work is the reward. It's like we're working hard to sell the show, but that's not what it's about. It's about getting the work out to the audience and having work of merit, doing something worth doing.
Yeah, the way I define a producer is the guy who doesn't stop.
Yes, 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 yeah. And
speaking of stopping, we are getting close to the end.
Right.
And before we say goodbye to Mike, I do have a question. I do have an audience question for him. So this one is from Bisbee Bing, whatever name that is, for Mike. What is it like to work on big budget projects and then work on a low budget project like Space Command?
Well, I approach work the same. Whatever I do, I just kind of give all of myself to it. This particular project, I don't even think of budget. Mark and Elaine are my friends. So I want to say this once again. This is a great model for anybody that's interested in going out and doing their own work and producing their own work. Mark and Elaine are great role models for you. So anybody that's out there thinking about doing your own stuff, these two people are really great role models for that. So one of the things that goes a long way with me is courage, and Mark and Elaine have a lot of that. And so I want to, and he's also been a very good friend to me, as has Elaine. So for me, it's really like I always say, it's a great privilege to be part of it. And I'm not just saying that to blow smoke up their ass. I mean it. So I don't think of it in terms of budget. The money's nice on big budget projects, that's always a nice thing. But we're painters,
Yes.
And you get a chance to paint something that's really meaningful and worth it. You jump at it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, thanks so much, Mike. I'm so glad you could join us for this time. And again, thanks so much for being in Space Command. It's just, we look at these scenes that you do over and over again in post-production, and we never get tired of them because you're so great. And with Ethan, it's just been fun. And you guys really are family. And it's
thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, so great. Well, so we'll talk soon, Mike. I'll send you the Sweet Haven pilot script in the next few days. And
thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Well, you take care. We'll talk soon. Bye.
See you, Mike.
Bye.
Bye, Ethan. Great to see you, man.
Good seeing you, Mike. Likewise.